Hello my fused frappuccinos, it's your boy Zeonic Blader, and in this video, I will be ranking every fusion Bakugan released in Bakugan Legends from worst to best. I'll be ranking them by their overall competitive viability, but enough talk, let's get on with the list. Also, I won't be taking into account Dragonoid X Auxillataur Ultra since it's a part of the Ultra list, so watch that to see its placement there, which I'll put in a link in the description. Number 2. Ventus Oralis Trox X Sairus. This Bakugan has a nice core lineup of Helix and Green Fist. Helix is what makes this core lineup good due to the Helix cores being able to give high boosts in either B power or damage. Usually, the Green Fist however is not very ideal since they only give mid boosts to damage and low boosts in B power. However, the fusion only Green Fist actually gives high boosts in damage. Ventus Oralis Trox X Sairus has a base stat line of 200 B power and 1 damage, as well as a reroll effect and the ability to fuse when opening on a Helix core. While most of the cores have great fusion only effects, the best Helix cores are still the regular Helix cores we are used to. So unfortunately, Trox X Sairus fuse stats of 700 B power and 3 damage are way too low to even do anything, which is why this fusion Bakugan is at the bottom of the list. Number 11. Pyrus Darkus Nova Dragonoid X Nillious. This Bakugan has a core lineup of Shield and Green Fist. Just like the Green Fist, Shield cores are usually not ideal. However, the fusion-only Shield cores actually give high boosts in B power. Pyrus Darkus Nova Dragonoid X Nillious has a stat line of 200 B power and 2 damage, and can fuse when opening on a Shield core. When fused, this Bakugan stats go up to 800 B power and 5 damage, and it gains the Victor ability of removing a core, which is nice, but would have been much better if it was not locked behind winning a brawl, because when on the plus 500 fusion only Shield core, Dragonoid X Nillious is only at 1300 B power. And the only way for this Bakugan to be somewhat useful is to fuse first, then reroll onto a plus 5 fusion only Green Fist to reach the 10 damage minimum for a highest damage wins play. But at that point, it's not even worth it just for 10 damage, when we have seen many Bakugan deal 15 damage and beyond without having to go through great lengths to do so. This Bakugan does have a 4-cost Diamond Evolution, which bumps up the stats to 1000 B power and 10 damage. With its core lineup, you're still only going to want to focus on damage. Perhaps if you used another Bakugan's Magic Shield, it would be worth it, but you're still spending 4 energy to evolve, so I don't think it's worth using at all, to be honest. This Bakugan is very sad. It's the fusion between two rival Bakugan that's been in the making for over 4 years, and it's not even good. What makes me even sadder is that many times, some random Bakugan ends up being the best, while all the main Bakugan they advertise a lot to make us feel something about end up being bad. Number 10. Darkus Haos Cyndeous X Skorporos. This Bakugan has an amazing core lineup of 2 Magic Shields. Magic Shields are great because they give the highest B power boost in the game compared to all the other cores, so having 2 of them is amazing. Darkus Haos Cyndeous X Skorporos has a stat line of 700 B power and 1 damage, and can fuse when opening on a Magic Shield. When fused, this Bakugan's stats bump up to 800 B power and 6 damage, as well as gaining a reroll effect. When on the plus 800 fusion only Magic Shield, this Bakugan is at 1600 B power, which is unfortunately too low in the Bakugan Legends format, where the minimum you want your Bakugan to be at is 1650 B power. This Bakugan does have a reroll when fused, so if instead you wanted to take advantage of that 6 damage and reroll onto a high damage boosting core for a highest damage wins play, you can at least do that. Number 9. Haos Aurelus Pegatrix X Auxillataur. This Bakugan has a great core lineup of 2 Helix cores. Haos Aurelus Pegatrix X Auxillataur has a stat line of 300 B power and 3 damage, and can fuse when opening on a Helix core. When fused, this Bakugan's stats bump up to 700 B power and 7 damage, as well as gaining a victor ability of removing an opposing Bakugan's core. With this Bakugan, you're going to want to focus on damage. When on the minus 200 B power plus 5 damage boosting Helix core, this Bakugan is at 12 damage, which is okay for a highest damage wins play. Number 8. Aquas Ventus Hydranoid X Krakelios. This Bakugan has a core lineup of 2 shields. Hydranoid X Krakelios has a stat line of 500 B power and 5 damage, and can fuse when opening on a shield core. When fused, this Bakugan's stats bump up to 1000 B power and 10 damage. With its 10 damage, it's already at the minimum for a highest damage wins play, so any additional boosts will make it even better. That being said, shield cores are not very good at boosting damage, which holds this Bakugan back. And while you could use another Bakugan's magic shield to get to 1800 B power, and to be honest, for it to be a core sharing Bakugan and it having 2 shield cores is not very ideal, especially when those 2 shield cores are probably best when they're fusion only shield cores, so you're kinda limiting yourself there. Number 7. Haos Pyrus Cloptor X Apollyon. This Bakugan has a nice core lineup of Shield and Fire Fist. What makes this core lineup nice is the inclusion of a Fire Fist. Fire Fist cores are great due to them giving the highest damage boost in the game compared to all the other cores. Cloptor X Apollyon has a stat line of 500 B power and 2 damage and a reroll effect. This Bakugan fuses when opening on a shield core. Once fused, its stats bump up to 800 B power and 7 damage, and it loses its reroll effect, which would have been great to have since this Bakugan is not good for B power. Since, when on the plus 500 fusion only shield core, it's only at 1300 B power, when the minimum you want is 1650. If you want to actually use this Bakugan in a viable way, you're going to have to reroll onto the plus 8 damage fusion only Fire Fist to reach 15 damage, which is much better. Unfortunately, it's not something you can do unless you're willing to put in the extra effort that many Bakugan that can reach 15 damage do not need to do. Number 6. Darkus Nelius X Enoch. This Bakugan has a core lineup of Shield and Green Fist. Nelius X Enoch has a base stat line of 500 B power and 5 damage, and can fuse when opening on either a Shield core or a Green Fist core. When fused, this Bakugan's stats bump up to 900 B power and 7 damage, as well as gaining the Victor ability of removing an opposing Bakugan's core. With this Bakugan, you're going to want to focus on damage. When on the plus 5 fusion only Green Fist, Nelius X Enoch is at 12 damage, which is okay for a highest damage wins play. Number 5. Darkus Aquos Halcor X Ramparion. This Bakugan has a great core lineup of Magic Shield and Green Fist. Halcor X Ramparion has a stat line of 400 B power and 3 damage, as well as a reroll effect. This Bakugan fuses when opening on a Green Fist. Once fused, Halcor X Ramparion's stats bump up to 900 B power and 5 damage. Unfortunately, this Bakugan loses the reroll effect, which would have been great since even though when on the plus 5 Green Fist this Bakugan is at the 10 damage minimum for a highest damage wins play, when on the plus 800 B power boosting Magic Shield core, only for Fusion Bakugan, Halcor X Ramparion reaches a spicy 1700 B power. It's unfortunate you're going to have to either reroll or wait for another opportunity to take advantage of it. Number 4. Aquas Ventus Garganoid X Webam. Garganoid X Webam has a stat line of 100 B power and 10 damage, and can fuse when opening on a Green Fist. Once fused, only its B power increases to 1000, which is a shame, but still, when on the plus 5 damage boosting Green Fist, only for Fusion Bakugan, Garganoid X Webam is at a spicy 15 damage, which is good for a highest damage wins play. Number 3. Pyrus Darkus Dragonoid X Tretorous. This Bakugan has an amazing core lineup of 2 Fire Fists. Dragonoid X Tretorous has a stat line of 700 B power and 1 damage, and can fuse when opening on a Fire Fist. Once fused, Dragonoid X Tretorous' stats bump up to 1000 B power and 4 damage, while also gaining a reroll effect. With this Bakugan, you can go for 2 different playstyles. First, for damage, when on the plus 8 damage fusion only Fire Fist core, Dragonoid X Tretorous is at 12 damage, which is okay for a highest damage wins play. You can also use this Bakugan as a core sharing partner. Once fused on a Fire Fist, you can use the reroll effect to roll onto the plus 800 fusion only magic shield core to reach a spicy 1800 B power. This Bakugan has a 4-cost diamond evolution which bumps up the stats to 1300 B power and 7 damage. You can focus on either B power to reach 2100 B power or damage to reach 15 damage. This Bakugan is very versatile, earning its spot on the list. Now the reason why I let this Bakugan be so high on the list, even though it has to re-roll to get onto a plus 800 magic shield, is because not only does it come with a re-roll so you don't have to spend any extra energy to re-roll, but also because it has 2 Fire Fist cores, it can make a great core sharing partner. Number 2. Ventus Haos Maxotaur X Zentaur. This Bakugan has a nice core lineup of Fire Fist and Shield. Maxotaur X Zentaur has a stat line of 300 B power and 6 damage, as well as the reroll effect. This Bakugan can fuse when opening on a Fire Fist. Once fused, Maxotaur X Zentaur's stats bump up to 409. It also loses the reroll effect, but it gains the effect of getting an additional 400 B power when on a shield core. However, with this Bakugan, you're going to want to focus on damage. When on the plus 8 damage boosting Fire Fist only for fusion Bakugan, Maxotaur X Zentaur hits for 17 damage, which is amazing for a highest damage wins play, also making Maxotaur X Zentaur the best damage focused fusion Bakugan on this list. On top of that, Maxotaur X Zentaur has a 4-cost diamond evolution which bumps up the stats to 800 B power and 10 damage, as well as increasing the effect boost to 800 as well. So you can go for a more B power focused play with this Bakugan, since when on a plus 500 B power boosting shield core only for fused Bakugan, Diamond Maxotaur X Zentaur is at 2100 B power, which is pretty solid. Most of the time it's not really worth evolving, however in the event where it's safe to spend 4 energy on an evolution, it's not bad at all. However, you don't really need to evolve for this Bakugan to be good. And at number 1, we have Aquas Ventus Fangzor X Mantonoid. This Bakugan has a great core lineup of Magic, Shield, and Shield. Fangzor X Mantonoid has a stat line of 600 B power and 3 damage, as well as a reroll effect, which I should have mentioned earlier, but reroll effects are great for these fusion Bakugan since they need to open on a specific core to fuse and actually be worth using. So re-rolling effects give you the opportunity to try again in case you miss your roll the first time. Fangzor X Mantonoid fuses when opening on a magic shield. Once fused, its stats bump up to 900 B power and 8 damage. With this Bakugan, you're going to want to focus on B power, since when on the plus 800 B power boosting magic shield core only for fusion Bakugan, Fangzor X Mantonoid reaches 1700 B power, which is very good. While we have seen 1700 B power on fusion Bakugan earlier on this list, Fangzor X Mantonoid can reach this number very easily, making it number 1 on this list. Overall, the fusion Bakugan this time around were much better than when they were first introduced in Bakugan Armored Alliance. That being said, I still feel like we did not see anything game-changing. The best fusion Bakugan reach stats that are not too uncommon for normal Bakugan, which is a shame because it feels like Bakugan that are actually given stats are random no-names sometimes hidden in a wave that's not widely released, so seeing such great designs kind of be underwhelming stat-wise is very sad. Well, this has been Zeonic Blader with my worst to best of the fusion Bakugan from Bakugan Evolutions. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you like the video, hit the like button, or don't, I'm not the boss of you, but be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get updated whenever I upload. Until next time, see ya!